So, yesterday's video, or the previous video, we were talking about the Nautilus, and what I perceive moving forward, especially in relation to the Mantis, traveling in between planets within a star system, quantum, that sort of stuff. And that has, what I have seen currently in the game has kind of informed that choice to get the Nautilus. Now, there are counter comments and there are counter opinions to mine. And, saying that CIG wants to bring back free warping, I don't know. I don't know that that's actually a thing that they want to do. I would love to see, I would love to see a comment that kind of links to a quote from CIG stating that, oh yes, this is something that's coming back. This is something that we want. I don't think that that is currently in the cards. I think the idea of dropping the warp disruption field, not the one that travels with the ship so you can stop someone from quantuming away, but the field that drops people out of quantum when they're traveling between 2 points. The existence of that kind of puts CIG into a bit of a corner where they have to force players to travel along certain routes. That, to me, that seems to be where they're going. Now, I want to be clear that if they were to get rid of that system, if they were to entirely get rid of that expectation and they were to move to a free warping system, not unlike Elite Dangerous, in fact, they could directly lift Elite Dangerous's interplanetary travel system and you would get no complaints from it. None whatsoever. In fact, you could take their landing on planets, their little radar system that they have, which, by the way, is brilliant in that game. They could lift that as well. But if they were to lift their interplanetary travel system and place it into Star Citizen one for one, you would get no complaints from me. Because the idea of dropping a quantum interdiction field in just a place and then just farming up whatever comes out of it is boring. I would prefer a skill-based system. I would prefer a system that forces you in quantum to change direction. It forces you to merge up and pursue, your intended target, to scan them out, to hunt them down, that sort of thing. I was a big fan back in the day of, a lot of the early kind of like Silent Hunter games, like the battles, especially in the North Atlantic, where when you were sailing around in your U-boat, you would get on the hydrophones and you would try to listen for a distant convoy, and you would try to figure out where they are, how fast they're traveling, where you need to be, and then you would go there. That sort of thing. I would be a tremendous fan if something like that was the interpretation into the future of our quantum travel and interdiction system, of hunting people down and things like that. Certainly we spend enough time in quantum. That's what I would like to see. That's entirely what I would like to see the game shape into. What I'm stating is that currently what I am seeing in the game and the way they seem to be going, this is kind of where I feel the safe bet is. Now, with the current system that we have right now, let's say that CIG doesn't intend to go whole hog, but with the current system of traveling around between planets and whatnot, players are going to be able to still, punch the I button, cancel their quantum drive in the beginning of travel, kind of move themselves off that main axis and then travel between, one planet to another, and much the way that we do now, and kind of push themselves out of position so they can't really be interdicted because that sphere has a limited range, that sort of thing. Whereas NPCs maybe aren't smart enough to do it. Even if they go that route, then to me it still makes sense, because if you want to interdict NPC cargo haulers, as Tony Zurovec was showing so many of them traveling between destinations, seems to be the perfect way to do it, as long as we can get some EMP mines, because you don't want to blow up what you're trying to steal. So when you hear me come up with these ideas, it is basically like I am looking at what I am seeing, and what I am seeing, like what I see as the intent of the system. This is where I see the end game playing out for that. Now, if they were to come around and totally flip and go 180 and say, no, we're going to do the Elite Dangerous system, you would find no bigger fan than me. Now, there's a number of reasons why I'm a fan of the Elite system, the sort of free warping system. I mean, just visually. I mean, when you look at Star Citizen and you look at our quantum travel, I'm not really the hugest fan of it visually. I think that it's kind of immersion breaking on the inside of the ship. You know, just all these flashes of light flying past your ship. I don't know. I mean, I guess it's there to kind of convey velocity, the idea of velocity, but I don't think that it really does it. And from the outside, you know, all these random particle generators that seem to be running all over your ship to kind of create this effect, like it's kind of pushing its way through space. It in fact makes it look less real. And for me personally, I don't know about you, but for me, it kind of breaks immersion. But beyond just the aesthetic qualities of the Elite system, which is, I would argue, somewhat closer to what you might expect visually, at least from the cockpit view, because it's cleaner to a certain degree. I think that you could integrate a system like that still gives you the idea that you're in a spaceship traveling at tremendous rate. I mean, Elite does it, and then when you combine that with the graphical strength of Star Citizen, I think that you would have a hell of a tool. And moving into a system like that, it would change interdiction from this sort of idea of just boom, plop down the field and catch whatever flies through it, to more of an active gameplay component within the game. You know, it would make it an active system where you have to scan out ships or maybe track their quantum trails, and you would maybe, as you're in the pilot's seat of your ship, you would see these little trails kind of superimposing over space out in your view, and you go, oh, okay, here's some trails, and that's a big one, so that's got to be a big ship. Is it a cargo ship? Is it a military ship? I don't know. Got to get closer to see, and you can kind of hunt people down as you're free warping through the system, Elite Dangerous style, and tracking them down. I would love to see a system like that, because it moves away from this kind of plunking down an interdiction field, which is kind of frankly skillless, and moving to interception being somewhat skillful and a whole new gameplay element. I would love to see that. And if that meant surrendering this strategy, well, I'm okay with that. You know, I am absolutely fine with that. I mean, that strategy is based entirely on just being efficient, you know, and okay, this works with this, so why not do that, you know? I would love a more active system. I would like to see interceptors be interceptors and not just limited to the Mantis. I would like to see quantum interdiction much more broadly applied, but, you know, much like Elite, where they have, you know, the warp interdictor or whatever, it's a significant module cost on your ship to equip one of those things. I would love to see the game go in that direction, but you know, we are getting to a point where, you know, what we idealize and what we would like to see and what is likely possible given the time and the money constraints. And, you know, let's face it, we've been waiting for this game for, as many people have pointed out, 7+ years. And, you know, kind of always going back to the drawing board is one of the things that's probably added more than a few years onto that. And so at this point, I'm willing to accept quantum in its current state, and this is kind of my plan moving forward. You know, it's like, these are the objective conditions of the battlefield. You just have to accept them. These are the lemons, so this is the lemonade that I'm making with them. I'm not entirely a fan of this system. I would like to see it go a different way, but this is my path forward from what we see now, and that's kind of the good thing about the anniversary sale and sales like this, is it allows you to kind of evaluate as the game's evolving and go, wait, you know, this really didn't work out. What about this? This didn't really work out. What about that? And you kind of get to, you know, you're able to kind of shift things around. But yeah, for right now, this is kind of the way I see things going. And to me, it feels like CIG is going to double down on this strategy. I don't see them going and adding in free warping. I in fact kind of see them probably going much the other way. Anyways, that's the show for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.
Thank you for watching. So if you want to keep up with the latest and greatest in Star Citizen and Squadron 42's development, please follow us on our social media channels. See you soon.